Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Picks and Pucks. This is some puck talk, and this is some great puck talk. Want to know why? It's the NHL season tomorrow for these guys. Yes. Sorry, I'm a little pumped. It was about a couple months ago. I did a video on, I guess it was the current state of the Coyotes and what I thought the lines could be. I think that was right when Galchenyuk was traded over to us. So now I wanted to do a video like the day before the season started with the new lineup, because there's been multiple changes that I did not have on that board at that time, like Richardson or Hayton even making the team. I don't think I had Grabner on that. I think my Grabner video is like after that fact. So this is gonna be our opening day lineup. I have guys on IR here. So really looking at this, I mean, you probably know by now, like seeing Hayton in there, that that's not right. And I know this, but this is going to be like a more opinionated video on how I think and the lines and the actual lineup should look like. I know my opinion doesn't really matter because Talkett is making the final lines, but I kind of don't necessarily agree with him putting Keller at center, even though I know Keller will be just fine. He will be absolutely fine there, and he'll do good. But I do want to get into why I think he should be staying on the wing, why Hayton should be playing, and just overall thoughts and excitement going into this. So let's get started with this first line here. So we got Panik, Stepan, Keller from last year. I think that line for now makes sense to keep together, given that they had so much chemistry last year. It would be awesome to keep them together if we could, especially keeping Keller on the wing, because as of now, Keller comes in at center. Hayton's out of the lineup. That means one of these two guys, Dauphin or Kempe, are going to have to be in the lineup somehow. And me personally, I don't really want to see either of them in the lineup for an extended period of time. It's still kind of hard to tell really if Dvorak and Galchenyuk are going to be out for like the next month or so. So it's tough to tell just how long we're going to have one of Dauphin or Kempe in the lineup. But having Keller at center, I think, kind of hurts our wing depth, because we would have to have Dauphin or Kempe in the lineup, which I just really don't think they belong up here if they don't have to. So that's going to transition me into the third line, actually, because this is with Hayton, Grabner, and Fisher. Now, I know Strome is going to be, I think, our third line center with, I think the last lines were with Krause and Dauphin. But if you have Hayton there at third center, that allows Strome not only to play with guys like Perlini or Hinostroza. I mean, you could really swap Perlini and Grabner, Hinostroza, Fisher. You could swap them in any which way. But it really allows Strome to play with scorers, which is who he needs to play with. I watched the Edmonton preseason game where he played between, I think it was Krause and Kempe, and I hate to say it, but you could not really tell he was out there. And I don't know if I don't personally necessarily think that was because of him just not trying to make an impact. I don't think he has the skill set really to make other players better and make an individual impact like some other top centers can. But if you put him with scorers, that gives him such a bigger opportunity to get more assists and more points. So this is why I have the lineup set the way it is. If you have Hayton in there as a center, you can put him between guys like Grabner and Fisher, who, Grabner, very good veteran to play with, has a lot of speed. Obviously, Hayton can pass like no other and can get passes to him. But he's also playing with Fisher, big guy, can sit in front of the net. Definitely, I don't want to say he can protect Hayton, but if it ever came to that, I think Fisher is a guy who actually would do that. So I think that would be a very solid line for Hayton to be on. And Fisher and Grabner are both defensively responsible too. So I think to put Hayton on a line between those two is a good idea because of the defensive responsibility that the wingers have, plus the speed and the skill that they both have. And I mean, Fisher is coming in really to his second full year, so he's not really a veteran, but he has that kind of presence to him in the way he plays. So I really believe that would be a strong line with Hayton there. Now, whether or not Hayton really is ready, I mean, he would have to play a couple games for us to even know. I don't expect him to play more than really 3 games, maybe. It all just depends on when Dvorak and Galchenyuk come back. But then that kind of leads me into the second line that I really didn't touch on. I was more touching on this third line. But with Strome, Perlini, Hinostroza. Now, I don't think too many of us know too much about Hinostroza right now, and I certainly don't. I just know that Chayka thinks he is underrated, thinks that he can bring so much speed and skill. And so I think putting him on a line with Strome is going to make Strome skate fast. It's going to give Strome a good outlet pass to that side. Also to Perlini's side. Perlini can skate like no other. This line I think these wingers would make Strome skate. And that is also a very important thing because Strome's really his downfall is his skating. So if you put him in between wingers like this, you're going to make him skate and you're going to give him the ability to have guys who can score and can actually like play the puck, catch his passes, and potentially score. So whether he's really ready for like a second wing or a second line role like that, it's iffy, and I think we all know it's iffy at best. But if you put him on a line with guys like that, I think he can for sure have success. I think if you're going to put him on a line with guys like Dauphin or Kempe or Kraus, I don't see the value in him there. I think at that point you might as well trade him and get... I don't know who you would try to get at that point. Someone who could maybe replace Cousins. Obviously I trust Chayka to do the right thing when it comes to Strome. So I have no doubts that he will do the right thing, whether it's trading him or Strome, it just ends up panning out. But I do not see the value in him playing with guys like Kraus and Kempe and Dauphin. It doesn't make sense to me, which is why I have the line set up like this without Dauphin and Kempe and with Hayton in there. So I think I talked about that enough. Let's go on to this fourth line, which is Richardson, Kraus, and Cousins. And now that fourth line would be super formidable to play against. We saw last year Richardson and Cousins had a lot of good chemistry together on that fourth line with Martinook. But now you're basically replacing Martinook with Kraus. And I loved Martinook. I thought he was a really good fourth line player. But with Kraus, you get someone who is bigger. He's going to hit a lot more. But Kraus does have some underrated skill. I went to the preseason game where it was the Coyotes against the Ducks, and he played in it, and he had a wicked backhand from like the mid to low slot area, and it was like, where did that come from? He can do that, and I think that is a really good addition to this fourth line. They would be really tough again to play against, and I think, even with it as good as a shutdown or semi-shutdown center that Richardson is, you could play this line as like a third line. I don't think setting it up this way we have a strict fourth line. I think we have like 2 second lines and 2 third lines at this point. And even when like Dvorak and Galchenyuk come back, it's like we don't necessarily have a one line unless like Galchenyuk does come out to be a true number 1 center, but we do really have like 2 number 2 lines and 2 number 3 lines. We don't have the little depth anymore to where we just have a line that can't really play the minutes that they need to play. I feel like almost all of these lines could play at any point in the game, which is huge. Let's transition to defense now. Now, these are the lines I got from Craig Morgan's Twitter account, I think from yesterday at practice. I don't have too much to say about these lines. I mean, it's pretty much. I think it's pretty much what we all thought they were going to be with OEL and Demers at the top. Goligoski and Hjalmarsson there at line 2, and then Connaughton and Osterley there at line 3 with the injury to Chikrin. I was actually pretty impressed with Osterley's offensive game. It was in the Edmonton game where I did see him get caught out of position quite a few times. I think he had a couple turnovers, so I think with him it's going to be hit or miss every game, unfortunately. But his offensive upside is solid. I mean, he had a ripper in the Ducks game that I went to. The shot came out of nowhere. I had no idea he had that kind of shot. So, he's going to be a really good 7th defenseman. If Connaughton can't really show that he's improved his defense, I think Osterley might be able to take over him. But it's going to be tough to tell. I think last year we had Chikrin and Hjalmarsson together, which I personally love that line. But now looking at this, I actually really like the Goligoski-Hjalmarsson pairing. I think Goligoski is a guy who has to play with the puck. He has to be an offensive driver, but he does make quite a bit of mistakes. So pairing him with Hjalmarsson is actually a really, really good idea. I think this is a really, really good second line. So, and then OEL and Demers, that pairing kind of came out of nowhere. No one knew really that OEL was going to pair with Demers. I certainly didn't. But that line it works. For whatever reason, it just works. They both just play off each other really well defensively. They're just so in sync, and it's beautiful. So I'm really happy with that top pairing. I'm really happy with the defense. I'm really happy with the depth at defense that we have now, with both Chikrin, Lyubushkin or Lyubushkin. I need to know how to pronounce that for future videos. But I really appreciate our depth at defense now, because it feels like even if Chikrin went down or Goligoski went down, kind of we have now with Chikrin, we can replace him with a guy like Osterley or a guy like Lyubushkin, who they're not going to be complete liabilities at defense. And that's something I don't think we've had in quite a while, and I'm really excited that we're finally getting that. Last thing to really talk about really is the goalies, and that's Ronta and Kemper. Ronta just needs to do what he did at the end of last year. I mean, it's tough to even comprehend that someone can improve on that. But if he can at all, my God, that would be amazing. But if he can just do that same exact pace, then there's no reason really the Coyotes can't push for a playoff spot this year. But the bigger key to that too, I think, is also going to be Kemper playing a little bit better than he did. He needs to be that guy that put up those numbers in LA before we got him. I think he still can. I mean, in LA, they arguably had a little better defensive game, so I think that probably helped out Kemper's numbers a bit. But if he can get to there at least as a backup, that would be huge, because Ronta has not really yet proved that he can play 55, 60 games yet in a season. So we will need, at least for now, we will need to rely on Kemper for hopefully not, but maybe 20-ish games. And if he can win 75% of those, that would be just fantastic. So, I'm really excited for this season. I said this before. I'm really excited for this season. This is the deepest team we've had in such a long time. And even with the success from the Tippett teams, I mean, they were not as deep as this team right now, and not as deep as the teams that we're going to have going forward. So I really think this is going to be a good season. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs still, even with seeing this now. I still don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not, but I think they're going to be a bubble team. I think they're going to just slip in or just miss. And that's okay. I mean, I'm not going to expect playoffs because they're still kind of young in the developing stages, but obviously it would be so exciting if they did, but I just want them to be competitive the entire year. I think they'll still have those stretches of like a week or two where they don't play that well. Every team developing like this is probably going to have that, but if they can just minimize losing streaks this year, they'll be solid, and I think they'll for sure push for a playoff spot. The jury's still out on whether they're gonna make it. So that's gonna be this video. Probably what I'm going to do going forward is every Wednesday or Thursday, I haven't decided, I'm gonna do a video on the games that have came out before that, and just do like a little wrap up of, you know, like the scores, some stats, maybe how the games went. But I'm planning on doing that at least once a week, so I can just keep getting videos uploaded and just talking about the games, because I love talking about the games, and sometimes it's just not the easiest thing in the world to get my point across through Twitter, which is where I usually talk about them. So that's gonna be my plan going forward. I will get some music stuff going. I promise. It's been slow going. I'm working a ton, so it's just kind of hard to really get some ideas going. And so, but I will. Like, this is both a hockey and a music channel, so there will be some music stuff coming. Just don't know exactly when yet, but it's coming. Be ready. I am so excited. Let's go, Coyotes. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you want to. You don't have to, but that would be awesome if you did. And I'll see you next week. It's hockey season, baby. Yeah, let's go, Yotes!